Welcome to an all-new adult erotica in comics. You're watching SVon82, and I'm Scotty, your underground comic-loving friend. The topic of this week's video will surround a character who has appeared in film, comic strips, comic books, cartoon television, video games, you name it, she's pretty much been in it in her over 100 years of existence. With her large face, big eyes, button-like nose, cute little voice, and sexy shaking hips, Betty Boop is a hard character to overlook. And with this character comes a few controversies. We're going to talk about all these, as well as a little bit of her history. This week we're talking about Betty Boop. I hope you'll stick around. Betty Boop is a caricature of a jazz-aged flapper. And flapper is a term used to describe a subculture of young Western women, prominent after the First World War and through the 1920s, who wore short skirts, which at the time was around knee height, bobbed their hair, listened to jazz, flaunted their disdain for prevailing codes of decent behavior, often wearing obsessive makeup, drinking alcohol, and smoking cigarettes in public, as well as treating sex in a casual manner. Betty Boop was created by Grim Natwick at the request of Max Fleischer, a studio owner and animator at the time. She would make her first appearance in the cartoon Dizzy Dishes, released on August 9th of 19... The seventh installment in Fleischer's Talk cartoon series. The character was originally created as an anthropomorphic French poodle. Clara Bow, American actress of the silent film era, sometimes gets credit as being the inspiration for Boop, but Fleischer told his artist that he wanted a caricature of singer Helen Kane, and in fact, Helen Kane would later even sue Fleischer over Betty Boop using the signature Boop Boopy Doop line. There's been a popular narrative over the years that suggested she was inspired by a black jazz singer named Esther Jones, but the most accurate account points to the influence of Helen Kane. Betty Boop appeared as a supporting character in 10 cartoons as a flapper girl with more heart than brains. Within a year, Betty made the transition from a human canine breed to a completely human female character, with much credit given to Grim Natwick for helping transform the creation, but her transition into cute cartoon woman was also due to the work of several other artists. Betty was first voiced by Margie Hines, but later the role would be held by several other voice actresses. Betty Boop was the star of Tall Cartoons by 1932 and was given her own series that same year by the name of Stopping the Show. From that point on, she was crowned the queen of the animated screen, being popular all throughout the 30s. Random Betty Boop fact: she appeared in the first color classic cartoon titled Poor Cinderella in 1934, depicted with red hair as opposed to her typical black hair. Betty Boop is regarded as one of the best-known sex symbols on the animated screen, unique among female cartoon characters because she represented a sexual woman, compared to other characters of the same period. Her best appearances are considered to be in the first 3 years due to her jazz baby character and innocent sexuality, which was aimed at adults, but like many comics or people we cover on adult erotica in comics, Betty Boop is not without her own controversy, even aside from her origins. The content of her films was affected by the National Legion of Decency and the Production Code of 1934, which imposed guidelines on the motion picture industry and placed specific restrictions on the content films could reference with sexual innuendos. This would greatly affect the Betty Boop cartoons. Joseph Breen, a new head film censor at the time, had numerous complaints. To him, Betty Boop's winks and shaking hips were too much, deemed suggestive to immorality. This was, of course, a much different time. She had appeared in 110 cartoons by 1955. The Betty Boop comic strip by Bud Coonahan was distributed by King Features Syndicate and ran from 1934 through 1937. She also has appeared in comic books such as Betty Boop's Big Break by Joshua Quagmire, Leslie Cabarga, and Milton Knight. She has appeared in video games and even a stage musical titled Boop the Musical. She had a cameo in 1988's Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and she had a bit of a resurgence during the 80s with Betty Boop merchandise becoming popular. Under current U.S. copyright law, Betty Boop is due to enter public domain on January 1st of 2026. Later versions of her character will enter the public domain in the years that they become eligible. So what does the future hold for Betty Boop? It's going to get interesting in 2026. But I know one thing's for sure. Betty Boop is an iconic character that deserved to be included in a video. And I wanted to thank you guys for coming out and watching the video today, for hanging out with me. And I wanted to take a second to shout out the channel members. Again, I wanted to thank the channel members. Thank you guys so much for helping me to achieve a goal that I had set out to achieve several years ago when I first started this channel. We're doing some good things. We are using the channel membership money and we're getting some basic essential items for people that are in recovery that may need it. And it's a small helping hand. I'm putting together a box full of different stuff. And it's a small helping hand, but it's a helping hand nonetheless. It's making a small difference. We're doing good things. And I wanted to tell you guys thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you. And I'm sure that these people do too as well. If you want to become a member, if you want to help out, we're going to do some other things in the future as well. It's only $1.99 a month to join, and I appreciate your consideration. More than anything, I appreciate you guys coming through to check out this week's video. I do drop new videos every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you like today's video, maybe go back, check out a few of the other videos, and come back next Wednesday for the new video. In the meantime, I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time. Peace.